People who lost their virginity to a prostitute. How did it go? And how do you feel about it now? I was too young. Me and my friends all same age went to a cheap brothel together. Most of our friends lost virginity in that place the same day and some even to same woman. That must have been a bonding moment with you and your mates. Damn, I didn't expect it in its reference of all things. I was in college. Depressed. Low self-esteem. And kind of overweight. I just wanted to do it. Found a website. Arranged it. Went there. Was nervous at first. But she made it easy. She was very sweet and beautiful, and it was as good of a first experience as I could hope for. Except I couldn't stay and snuggle for hours. I did that for a few more years with different women. Most were good experiences but a few weren't, and eventually got less nervous around women. I got quite friendly with one. I helped her out with some photos and website stuff, and we hung out in malls and had dinner sometimes. She was the only one I went to for a year and a half, and was kind of like girlfriend beginner training. Now that I think about it, I moved to another country where I didn't know how to get one there, so I just stopped doing it. Got in shape, handled depression better, found women would be flirting with me, and started dating. So it worked out for me in the end. But that isn't the case for everybody. Found her online. Honestly, looking back, I don't regret it. I was 31 years old. It was way overdue. It felt kind of weird at the time. Not necessarily bad. Just like I've now crossed the bridge and there is no going back. I totally get that feeling. Where it's not even that you want the sex. It's that you've gotta get the monkey off your back. I was involved with hiring a sex worker for a disabled man. He had cerebral palsy and really wanted to lose his virginity. It was a whole safeguarding thing with care managers and his parents having to be involved. We found him a lovely woman who had previous experience with disabled clients and everything went well for him. I was one of the more open-minded advocates involved. Sex workers offer services that mean far more to people in a lot of cases than you would think. Experiencing sex and intimacy for the first time just being one of them. Prostitution should long have been legalized and regulated and unionized. I actually wrote a persuasive essay on this in school. I did it to be funny at first, but the research led me to this type of instance. How it can help people with special needs really turned the light bulb on for me. I totally agree it should be legalized. I didn't bad about it since I was 18 at the time, and a co-worker of mine would tell me his adventures into Joanna and the lovely nightlife. One day I asked if I can tag along the next time he goes out there. He would go mostly every weekend since he had a girlfriend out there, and agreed. As we were on our way that night, he explained the do's and don'ts and what to expect out of it. He made it clear to take my time and not to rush anything. We had the whole night, made it to TJ, went to his usual bar, and after 2 hours, I chose one for night. I was so damn nervous. All I've known was just jerking off to porn, and this was going into the real thing. She knew I was nervous, and she put her hand on me and said, "It looks like it's your first time. Don't worry and relax." Lol, I kept going to limp mode due to being so nervous. She ended jerking me off at the end. I go back down to my coworker and he asked how was it? It was fine. Lol, a week later I end hooking up with my first girlfriend and not being so nervous second time around. I'll be back to answer this in a few months. Lol. Oh, you planning on doing it? My younger brother did, and then she stole $2,000 from his wallet and left while he slept. Who TF keeps $2,000 in their wallet? My favorite part of it is the adrenaline of doing something I really shouldn't, but it got boring pretty quickly, which is good I suppose. It's a slippery slope. Ha, slippery slope. Since I was like 12 to 13 I always thought something was off with me. When boys talked about girls I just didn't relate at all to what they were saying, and I just rolled with it because I thought it was supposed to be like that. When I was about 18 to 19, I did feel this giant pressure to lose my virginity. Like every drinking game was just about people talking about their sex life, and I just didn't get it at all. But at this party a girl is apparently very into me, and even cried when I didn't kiss her. Like how was I supposed to know that? Calmed her down, took her to my place, and fooled around a lot. I didn't really feel anything. She was pretty and I liked her, but not enough apparently. I wasn't nervous. It just felt like it was totally bad thing to do. Not morally or legally, more like a principle or law of nature. I'm not even sure if I technically had sex with her. So about 6 months later or something, on holiday with my best friends, we decide to hit a strip club, and I get a private dance. I found her to be stunning. She then initiates sex. I didn't protest. We go to this motel, I guess / hope. We do it, and she was stunning to me. It felt comfortable having sex with her, like I could tell she was good. But for some reason I was still emotionally numb. I was fully erect though. It would take me another 5 years to realize I'm not really into women. And I even tried semi-hooking up with a guy just to be sure I wasn't gay. And I felt the exact numb feeling when kissing him. But luckily I stopped it going further knowing it wouldn't change me either. So when I looked about asexuality, a lot of things suddenly made super sense. And thinking back on it, I have no idea it took me that long to look things up. I was 21 and finally coming into my own. So I fired up my social life, super autistic, and it was very hard. After being stood up 3 times in a week I got sad and drunk, and remembered 2 friends of mine telling they went to the red light district and only ended up talking. But I was the one of the group who did the others proceed out of. So I figured I could go the whole way. Found a brothel in my city that was open and I went there. It was just a normal house, but with a camera at the door. Tackiest interior ever. Like 60 EU per half hour. The host was a 70+ woman. And there were like 8 workers there. They all got let in and introduced themselves one by one. And then GM asked for my choice. Woman I chose was French, and we kinda communicated in gestures. I washed up a bit in front of her, and she offered me a smoke. Then I laid down, and we got to it. But I had just downed 3/4 of a bottle of rum, and I felt empty on the inside. So I could only muster a semi. It wasn't great. Lots of hand stuff. Just exploring. But called it quits. I thanked her. Told Grand Pimp I had a great time. And left. If I felt empty before, I hadn't truly known emptiness till the moment I stepped outside and went home. Like, hollow. I didn't regret it per se. It changed my view on sex and humanized the entire nature of it. Gave me a lot more confidence. Month later I was sort of dating the girl who'd be my first. But what followed was a string of relationships where I was just used. Cheaters. With and on me. Some monkeys poor ass. Parents and the family were away. Walked down to the liquor store late and got a few pervy classified papers. Pocket full of quarters. Called an out-call service. A sexy woman came over and it was kinda clinical. But that's okay. She was nice. Still twitch when I smell her perfume. Beyond being a horned up 18. A slightly impersonal experience the first time made sense to me. Plus no GF. I appreciate the experience for what it was, and it accomplished what I hoped for. Happy, healthy, pervy sex life now. I feel good about it, and it was realistically the only way it was going to happen. I had an abusive childhood, EI. My mother would have gotten prison time, and the only form of love I knew was pity. The chance to earn affection was earned in itself. And it was gamble if it paid out. I was taught love wasn't only conditional, but that it's a temporary commodity. Loads of mental essence ooth. I had never been hugged before, and paid for it for 2 hours. Afterwards I dry heaved, but couldn't cry. At least I knew what it was like. Afterwards there was sex, but overall it was a beneficial experience. I made that decision almost 6 years ago. I don't regret it one bit. All of my encounters were with sex workers. So far, so good. Username checks out. I just used this website, got in contact, arranged the date. It was in a different city, so I decided to do a week vacation in that city. It was alright, she was sweet and tender, ended bad though cause came on her face. How do I feel about it now? Well, I don't regret it. I wish I cold lost it in the true love way, but an ugly and autistic, so what the hell. All in all 7/5/10ths experience. Really cool book. Paying for it, true story, written by an OCD Canadian guy who decided to only use call girls after a bad breakup. Highly recommended. I found it at the public library. That's a progressive and open-minded public library. My husband did in the Navy before I'd met him. He regrets it as he was local to where he was first stationed here in the US, and it was at a dinky hotel and just not really pleasant lol. He was only 18 and was pressured to do it. Later he went on to have sex in a proper brothel in Spain and one other country, can't remember which off the top of my head, and enjoyed those experiences much better lol. How did it go given my personal conditions, mental health diagnosis etc? It was awkward. I didn't finish, but I have to say I feel I was lucky to find the person that I did. They were very kind, I know. It's in their job description, but you get a vibe about some people, and I'm glad it wasn't someone else. Since it was my first time they probably just chalked up my awkwardness to that, which was probably for the best. And how do you feel about it now? I don't really care. Just glad I got it out of the way. I know you get those responses like I regret I didn't wait for the right person, but honestly to respond to that, I just feel like there's a large majority of society that places virginity on way too high of a weird pedestal. Aka waiting for the right one, or waiting till marriage. Feels like an outdated view that hasn't died yet. Hypothetically, even if I did meet someone I actually love, I'd probably still consider that my first real time, since without emotions being involved it's very bland. Honestly, it seems that only women that are already in relationships talk to me, and mama raised no F homework losing it to a prostitute doesn't sound that bad TBF. I need to post about this. I'm being stuff, but generally find only taken women talk to me these days too. She was an asthma artist who I got to know through her Discord server. She did sex work, so I decided to save up my paychecks and take a trip to Reno to see her. It was nice, but honestly I was so nervous that I felt I damaged my own experience. I really wish I could do it over again and be more relaxed. Now I unfortunately can't get any, though. So, yeah. No one on Reddit has lost their virginity. That's a fair point. My ex-husband's father was stationed in Okinawa, Japan during WW2. My ex, Carl, was blonde, blue-eyed, and popular with the native people. By age 13, he had saved up enough $ from doing yard work to go to a prostitute to lose his virginity. He said she was patient, it was quick, and he never regretted it. TBH, it was not what I expected. I was 20 and I have watched a lot of porn, so I had pretty high expectations. It felt okay, nothing out of the ordinary. In my opinion, just wait till the right time arrives. The girl was pretty sweet and willing to help me teach me, but it wasn't what I expected in my fantasies. Believe me, not worth it. I was 14, she was in her 30s. The moment I came in the motel I went to her room. She asked how old I was, I told her, then she asked if I'm a virgin, I said yes, then she proceeded to coach me through it, particularly on how to control my thrust. Then in less than 5 minutes I came. It felt like I was in cloud 9. Went back to her few times after that until my big brother snitched on me to my mum. She was disappointed in me, the rest was history. Looking back now, that's actually an abuse, cause I was a naive horny little boy taken advantage of by this older woman who should have chased me away for being underage in the first place. I used to have a low self-image. Even though I'm neither bad looking nor overweight, I thought it would help me get some self-confidence and that I'd approach other girls easily. It went quite smoothly. She was very careful and peeked at me as I was walking down the hallway to her. The biggest thing I remember was listening to some radio that was on. No idea what that type of music is called. Maybe industrial. It was just some iron bars banging together in rhythm with some other instruments. Maybe she thought that younger people were listening to that and wanted to accommodate me. The sex part was, as you'd imagine, quick and lousy. I did get my ego boosted as she could not put it in her mouth at least halfway, but the rest was not good. I still remember showering at home. Then again after arriving at her place. Third time after doing the deed. And again at home. She was a bit older and not in shape. No idea why I picked her. Looking back, I'm sorry for taking this path. I did not get any real useful experiences from it, and I even have to hide it. To this date, It was the only prostitute I visited. My ex did. It left him with a lot of shame. He was still awkward with girls. And he obviously didn't pay for the kind that teaches you how to do it well. Lol, if you make that choice, spend the money and do some research so you have a good experience. Don't just roll up to the Motel 6 in a meth town. I was 22. I had no confidence and low self-esteem due to my upbringing. At this point in my life, I was becoming embarrassed that I was a virgin. I had a few opportunities to lose it, but I would blow it. Nobody knew I was a virgin. Now I know that I'm above average, but back then I had issues. So one spring, I traveled to Amsterdam. I had no intention to sleep with a window girl. If anything, I thought it was disgusting. But when I arrived and saw them, I was surprised how many gorgeous women were there. On my last night, I realized this was a good opportunity to lose it. I knew my first time was going to be a train wreck. So why not embarrass myself with a girl I'm never going to see again? So I snuck out and went window shopping. I saw this insanely hot blonde and I approached her. She told me it will be 54 suck and F. A lot less than expected. We started suck, but halfway she told me it will cost me another 100 for the rest. At that point, I felt like I was getting robbed. So I gave it to her. So she continued. As soon as we started the last part, I came within a minute. I didn't even enjoy it because of the situation of her scamming me another 100 bucks. What happened next still cracks me up. She asked if I liked it and said yes, but she noticed I was lying. She then called me out and asked, "What's wrong? You didn't like it, did you?" She then told me to get back on the bed. I guess she wanted to redeem herself. So this time she put a lot of effort, but she was too fast that I came again within a minute. I was so embarrassed, and again, she saw it as I was not satisfied. At this point, it looked like she was more hurt than I was. I think I hurt her ego. Looking back, I laugh about it. I should have told her from the beginning that it was my first time. Could have been a better experience for both of us. The next time I had sex, it was nowhere near as embarrassing as the first time. So I'm actually glad I had the experience. I was 29 at the time and found her online. Was a spur of the moment decision to go for it, and it went alright, I suppose. The actual sex was good for me, but not as good as I thought it'd be. I was really nervous about it. Well, I didn't come and had some trouble getting / keeping it up. And blowjobs / handjobs don't do anything for me. Since that original time I've seen a couple other sex workers and the act has started going more smoothly for me. It was expensive,